guys, Seb here from Group SBC. Wanted to show you guys a neat way of doing project status report and project follow-ups. I recently started using Confluence. It's a product from Atlassian, so if you guys know Jira, it's the same company who makes it. And I started using this to do project status reports as well as project charter, and other project documentation. And I find it really simplified my life. And now I'm only using Confluence even when I'm doing steering committee meeting and team meetings and whatnot, so that I have one place where everything is stored, so I don't have to create an extra PowerPoint or Google slide presentation for the for those committee presentation. I've structured the page and the space so that I can do all of that within Confluence. So you see on my screen, basically, if you have Confluence under the space here, you can view all of your spaces or the spaces available. You could create a new one. So when you create a new one, what I did is I used a blank space. I haven't tried the other template, but maybe documentation space could give you a head start. But anyway, it's very easy to put together. So blank space is what I used, and I created one here called my demo space. So it's blank. So when you create a brand new space, this is exactly how it's going to look like. So it's loading here. So you see it's got a little welcome message, and all of this you can edit and you can recreate the same way it's actually done here. And so you could configure the space to change the logo. So you can do space setting. You can go and edit, change your logo here if you want. You could give it a category. You can configure the sidebar. I mean, I don't want to dwindle too much on these details. You guys can explore. I just wanted, it was more about giving you an idea of what you can do. And maybe if you have questions, you could post comments or email me, and I could give you my input on some of the questions you have. On the left-hand side, basically the overview is kind of like the main page of your space, if you will. You can add shortcuts. So usually one thing I like to do is I like to add the Jira, because Jira is actually another application. So you can switch from Confluence to Jira and check your Jira tickets or user stories or epics. But so usually I would go and put the URL for the Jira here. I would call it Jira for the project. Click on the add shortcut, and you would see it appear on the left hand side. So what I'll do is just to give you an example, I'll put my company website there. I'll name it Jira so you understand, but so you click add shortcut and then save, and then you see the Jira shortcut just appear here. And if you click on it, opens up a new tab. Now it's going to load up my corporate website, but you get the idea. So what I do here for space shortcuts, the way I actually use this is anything that would be outside of Confluence, for which you would like to have quick access, or people that you will allow to use Confluence to have quick access to. It could be documents, it could be an application, it could be your timesheet software, it could be basically whatever you want. So a link to a SharePoint folder, to a Google Drive folder, pretty much anything. And then you have not yet here, I haven't created any pages, but as you start adding pages, and we'll get into this a little bit later, you'll start seeing pages add up. So just quickly, what I do for my projects or what I started doing recently. And I have my my template that I'm using for another project on my right hand screen here. So you'll see my head moving left, right. It's just I'm checking my my template here, or my model, to try and recreate it here, and then give you an idea of what to do and how it looks. So using that little pen symbol here, you can edit the space. And the cool thing is you could be two people actually editing the space at the same time, and it would work the same way as it actually works in Google Docs. If any of you have used Google Docs, you could see the cursor of the other people and where they are in the page and what they're editing. So it's actually pretty cool for that too, because you can collaborate on the same document. So once you get into the edit, so you see now I have the option to publish. So I don't have the pen anymore, so I'm in editing mode, and then I have all of the functionality at the top that appeared. Basically, you can add blocks, you can make this full width, yeah, like that. You can delete blocks, and so on and so forth. So, I mean, obviously you can change here the name. I gave it my demo space home, but you can pretty much type whatever you want here as your title. You can also insert images. So for example, if your project has a cool name and it has a logo or an avatar or whatnot, you can put that right on here. So I'll get right away to now starting to edit. So one of the thing is to start adding widget and things, you have to use the slash. So slash, for example, if you want to use a table, you put slash and you write table, and then you'll get a table. And I'm not sure I've explored all of the functionalities, but basically slash normally gives you that little pop-up, and then you can scroll down and do a whole bunch of stuff in here. And we'll get to this in a couple of seconds with an example. And again, I'm giving you an example here of how I use it. You guys, basically your imagination is basically the limit here. So in my case, what I do is I'm going to put a layout. I'm going to use a layout here. And then it gives me it gives me the ability to create columns. So for my project status report overview, normally I would start with a 3-column like this. On my left hand side, I would put overall progress. And again, you guys do how you want to do it. You can increase, decrease the font size. Here. Let me call it heading 2. All right, and then in here usually I put a table, and then so I put table, and you can add column by simply clicking, or you can delete table. Sorry, if you click on the column, you see the X appears, so you can delete that. Table options, you could put header and column you could put row and column as a header. So in this case here, I don't put row, so I'm going to put, for example, approved budget. And next line, I'm going to put actual or incurred. Progress. And again, you guys configure this however you want. So the rows work the same way as the column. If you want to add a column, you get the little plus, boom, add a column. Let's say budget at completion, overall progress in terms of schedule, and then Oops. No. Anyway, you guys get the point. So I would put the numbers here and put something like updated on May the 18th, so people know when was the latest here. On the home page, I would put, for example, image. So you can download an image for your, let's say, for your logo of the project or the avatar. Let's see if I have something quick here that I could upload. All right, put a picture of myself here. And then you can resize it. So you can make it smaller, put it in the left corner, and there is your project logo. Sometime I'll put, oops, Control Z works the same way. So sometimes I'll put text, so project description. Sorry, can't write. And how to use this page, or what kind of information you can find. I mean, again, you guys put whatever you want here. And then on the right hand side, what I'll do is, what I found interesting was to put links to documents. So I'm not using the shortcuts as I showed you earlier, because otherwise the list becomes super long and it's less usable that way. But here what I'll do is I'll put here a link to kickoff presentation, and then you highlight this thing, and with that little link tool here at the top, you know, you guys know how to use that. I'll put the link, and then off we go. So what does it look if I click publish right now? So for people to see what you've done, you have to publish. And you see, sometimes there's a little, I'm going to call it a glitch. You have to reload to see what you did. There you go. So we see now what I've uploaded. It's still loading the picture I put, but it's starting to look like something. So you guys get the idea. So I'll go back to edit. So yeah, so basically that would be my header. And actually what I did here is I added a table with 4 columns, where I have my my overall indicator. So scope, schedule, costs, and then I like the fun one because, well, you know, you should have fun here. So, and then what I do here is you could do one of those status indicators. So if you put status like this and you click enter, you can pick the color. And so we're good. Here you could put schedule, you could put yellow, or whatever text you want to put, and so on and so forth. So you guys get the idea. There you go. And if you want the fun, you could put an emoji, like, are we having fun or are we not having fun? And let's say we are. and then again we can center these things here. So you have a spot to get some numbers here quickly, a couple of high-level indicator that you could keep up to date, you know, on a weekly basis. So when you do your weekly update or whatnot, quick links so that people can access, for example, maybe the budget or a detailed schedule, or you know, link to the kickoff presentation and so on and so forth. Another thing I then do, I'm going to delete this table here, and I'm going to delete these message here. There you go. Yeah, you can insert a line here if you want. Is it divider? Yeah, I think it's divider. There you go. I'm going to erase one of them. What I do then is I'm going to have a section for project status report, and then you'll see in just a minute what it looks like. And then what I do is I use one of the widget or functionality called expand. So basically it gives you a section where you can, you know, load all sorts of stuff in there, put tables and everything else. And I'll just show you quickly by putting a dummy table. So what happens is you can actually close this. So I usually give it a name, or when I do my status report, I'll put the date. So I'll put today's date. So when you publish, what happens is I'll publish here, and then hopefully with the application I closed, it's going to be a little quicker. Seems to be a little bit quicker. Again, same. Okay, it refreshed this time, or kind of. Not seeing my. There you go. So it's not completely obvious, or it's not like in your face, but when you click on it, it opens up. And then you'll see, I'll copy paste from my template that I have open on the right hand side, but you'll see what I do is basically every week I create one of those, so you end up with a list of all of your status report that you have. So I'm just gonna open up one of the one I have here, and start creating this guy. Okay, so usually I like to have in my status report, I like to have a executive summary. And again, I'm repeating myself here, but you guys configure this however you want. Table. So I'll put a table with 5 column. There you go. Put this like that, and you'll understand indicator. I'll put previous, current, and then trend. I'll put highlights. So here, like this, and like that. Okay, I won't worry too much about this, the cosmetic here, but so table option on this one, I want the column as well. So this guy, I want 1, 2, 3, 4, and then what I'll do is I'll do global, scope, timeline, or schedule. Resources, issues, risks, and then financials. Or financial. So in here, I'm going to put a status. So I'll use the same widget or as before. So, and I won't make all of them, but you guys get the idea. So I'm going to use that for to give people a sense, like the street light concept, red, yellow, green here for the globally how we were, what was the status or the color when we last met, what is the current situation, and then what's the trend. And then here I'll give a couple of highlights. We are on track. Last meeting with executive allowed us to, and then whatever message you want to convey. I mean, you guys, I've probably been doing this in PowerPoint or in some way, shape or form. Same thing for the scope, any highlights, anything you need the committee or the team to take a decision on. This is basically your executive summary. I'm going to have another section here, which is going to be activities. And the last section I'm going to have in here is issues. Oops. Okay, so same thing. I'm going to put a table in here. Same thing for issues. So the activities basically 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 columns, sorry. All right. So first column here is just a simple ID that I put. I'm gonna put 3 line. It's gonna be enough. You guys will get the idea. And then this column is also going to be an ID, but for the planned. So planned in the upcoming weeks. Oh, I don't need this. Sorry. So what you have planned and the status. And there you go. And then I usually put different color, which you could do here. So I'm going to put a color like this. And for things that are planned, oops. Okay. Not sure why it's not cooperating, but figure this out. Cell background, so just for the hell of it. So basically I have a way of telling people everything we've done since we last met. What's the status of these activities? We have to continue. They've been closed. It's been presented. We've abandoned it, or it's been replaced. And then what are we planning to do between now and our next meeting? And then the status has to be started. It's in progress, and so on and so forth. Now, issues, this is, yes, a status report, but if there are any issues that we would like to discuss or address, this is usually the time to bring these things up. I mean, by that time, you probably have discussed the issues while you were going through the executive summaries, but having them listed is, I find, usually a good thing. So usually I have a category, which could be, let's say, organizational or communication, could be scope, could be schedule, issue, description. Here I'm going to add a column. Is there a mitigation plan? What are we doing about it? Who's accountable to fix this thing or in charge to resolve it? Status. And then do we have a deadline or an ETC? Whatever vocabulary or however you want to track these things. There you go. So this is what I'll do. Every week I'll update this and basically present. And I'm going to reuse maybe a more extensive version of that status report for a steering committee meeting or sometime a condensed version, because there are some details that maybe the executive don't need to be bothered with, so to speak. But instead of basically copying this into a PowerPoint slide, I'm going to just present this to the steering committee. And the cool thing is I'm going to have access to all of the previous one as well. So if we have any question, but I think last meeting we had discussed blah, blah, blah. Well, I can really quickly go back and I'll show you what I do. So every week what I do, I highlight this whole section. I'm going to do a Control C or Command C for the Mac user. And then Command V. And then boom, the second block has been added. So now I'm gonna, change the date. Maybe I'll change the date for last week, for example. And then when you publish, again, what happened is you'll now have two expandable sections on your overview. So let's see if it refresh. Otherwise I'm gonna hit the refresh button so that we see both the. So we have one. Let's see the second one. It has been a bit on the slow side for me. I'm not exactly sure why, whether it's my machine or it's something at Atlassian. Regardless, it's still much faster and much more efficient, I find, than actually having to recopy all of that beautiful stuff into a PowerPoint slide. But so you see the two here, the two status reports, so I can click on one and expand it. And then click on the other one and expand it, and it's just the one that you click basically that expands. So this is actually, I thought that was actually a neat trick to do the project status report on here. And so I felt it would be something nice to share with you. Again, completely flexible. You guys do whatever you want basically here. I've seen people also, instead of creating it here on the overview, create a page for each of the status report, and it works just as well. I thought here it was kind of neat because you don't have to. You're on the overview, and you're basically just if you have to switch back and forth, otherwise you're always looking at the latest one, which in my case is always the one at the top. So if you want to create pages, so for example now, status report is nice, but in a status report we usually also take a look at the schedule. So here I'm going to show you how to create a page. So you hit the create button here at the top, and then you have that pop-up window. And then you have a slew of template that you can use, and some of them are actually very useful. Decision is actually pretty good. There's so many of them. You guys can take a look. This is the cool thing about Atlassian products. Confluence and Jira is they have a lot of plugins and add-on, and it basically connects with virtually anything. You got SWOT analysis template, team task report, to-do list. So I'm just going to use the blank page because what I want to do is create a roadmap with you guys and just show you quickly how you could create a high-level roadmap. Now, it's not a PowerPoint. Sorry, not a PowerPoint, but it's not a Microsoft project replacement, like by a long shot. But it could be. The way I use it, again, I use it as more a communication tool and a high-level tracking tool as opposed to a very detailed Microsoft project schedule, but it's got some, no frills, straightforward functionality that I thought are, I think, pretty good. So you could, again, your page, you put a title, and then here you want to put a roadmap. You're going to do slash and type in roadmap. And I'm always, I could never remember which one. Okay, I clicked on the right one. So this is your roadmap that appears when you insert the roadmap, let me call it widget. So if I just click insert, you'll see the roadmap like this. You can, now I wanted to show you that you could scroll left, right, up, down. I don't have enough content to be able to demo that. I could do weeks as opposed to months. Now I'm going to have enough content to scroll at least right, so you could see. Oh, sorry. It's my bad. It's showing you the week we're at, but obviously if I stretch this, it's going to give me more because I have more real estate, so I'm going to see more of the schedule. But if you do want to see the full schedule, yes, you have to click on edit. My bad about that. But then it's a very straightforward thing. So you can add lane very easily. You can name your lane. So could be, yeah, there's a bit of a glitch here. I'm not sure how I fixed that the last time. So there's a way of fixing that. Anyway, how did I do that? Okay, I forgot the trick. You see there's a little glitch. But okay, so you can add bars, and then you can take the bars and move them wherever you want, in fact. Oops, just gotta make sure it clicks on there. You can stretch, you can't link them together, but obviously if you realize that maybe this one needs to go there, it also changes color nicely. As you saw, if I'm on here and I click plus, then it adds the bar or the task or whatever in that swim lane. Now this is bugging me. I don't understand why I can't edit this thing. Anyhow, the taskbar here, you can link a page, you can create a Confluence page. Obviously, you could add a description. And you can add this is going to be your title. So new task title, right? And then you could put as long of a text as you want on here for your description if you need it, right? So whenever people click on it, they have, yes, the title, but they also have the description if you have to. So again, it's not a tool to do it's not replacing Microsoft Project by a long shot, but for a project status report tool and being able to kind of create a roadmap and maybe map out your phases, or if you're doing agile, you can map out your epics, the sprints. Also, you could have a lane for this is the lane where I have all of my sprints mapped out. Anyway, the other thing is you can add marker. So those marker are kind of a marker. You can, this one you see it highlights, so I don't know, deployment, and you can add as many as you want. What I found with markers though is if they're too close together, the text overlaps. Which is kind of annoying, but then again, maybe you don't have events occurring that close together, so maybe it's not an issue. So Again, this is by no means perfect, but I'm using this again as a communication tool that I find very efficient to quickly position people on what is that project about, where we are, what's coming up. As you saw, it's no frills. It's very easy to update. If all of a sudden you have to have more time, you can just stretch this or say, okay, maybe I should add a task because it's going to take longer. And anyway, you guys get the point, right? And then once you insert it, there is your roadmap. If you do have a Microsoft project schedule or a detail schedule, or a Kanban board, or sprints or whatnot, you could also in this page create whatever link to the Microsoft project schedule or whatever other tool you use for scheduling. You can also add your Jira item in here. So if you click on Jira, then you have to have a filter set up in Jira. But as soon as you have that filter, so if you only want to, usually you'll create a filter for, only the items that relate to your project. And then each time you create a ticket or an issue or an item in Jira, you'll have a tag, or you'll have a unique way of identifying those things. So you'll filter on that, basically on that key. And then based on that, you'll select your filter here, and then your list of Jira item will appear. So again, on the roadmap, or however you want to call that page, you could put all of these detail here. So when you have a conversation about timeline and what's coming up, everything could be on a single page and easy to navigate through and then show people what is it that you're doing. So now that we created a page, you'll see the page here is going to add. You're going to see it. So you see roadmap. So, I'm on the overview loads, and then I have, if I click on roadmap, then I see the roadmap page. So if you hover over the roadmap page, you have a little plus. So you can create child pages as well. One thing I've used this child pages for was to actually take notes. Sometimes I'm going to have like a page for a topic, and I'm going to take notes while I'm meeting or having a discussion with people. So I don't know. Let's create just here, just so that you guys understand or see it. Again, the number of template here. Yeah, you could filter. You could do, or actually maybe to do would be. To do like this. So maybe you want to use this one to create a sub page so that you have a to-do list for how to update, or like keep a list of what you need to do to update your roadmap. I've actually never used that thing, so hopefully it doesn't crash or bomb on me here while I'm recording this thing. So you see it comes in kind of pre-configured, but everything here you could actually create from scratch if you wanted to. So for example, if I just those things here with the tick box, it's called action item. So if you did / and you started typing action, I think you would get that thing right away appearing. So I don't think it's finished loading, or it's maybe it's wanting me to put a title. So just call it meeting notes. Okay, and then just publish it. So now you'll see that roadmap has that little arrow, so you can expand it and look at your child pages. One page that I also create usually, and that for me kind of deserve its own page, is everything related to budget or financials. I'm not going to use Confluence to replace Excel. I'm going to use Excel to do the budget tracking and all of that beautiful stuff. But what I'll do is I'll take a screenshot of my Excel table or my budget or my cash flow or whatever it is that I have, and basically copy it here as a screenshot with the date it was taken. And then I'm going to put a link to the original file so that people can access it. So here, put financial. And then again, I would put in a screenshot. So I don't have a screenshot here, but if I took a screenshot of what I have here, just so you guys get it. So I do, then Control V, I put my screenshot. So it's not very representative, but you guys get the idea. If I had my Excel spreadsheet opened up, I take a screenshot of that Excel spreadsheet after I've hidden columns and did whatever I wanted, and then I could put that thing on here, and then I could put a link to the file. Yeah, I mean, I put link, but really I could put the budget file on whatever, SharePoint or whatever, Google Drive, OneDrive, whatever you guys use. And I would go here, create a link, and people could always easily access the original file, obviously if you give them access to. So that's again a page that I like creating, so that it has its own page, and then we talk about financials. We're focused about financials. Everything related to financials would actually be on that page. There are a couple of more pages that I like to create. Oh, the page was created under meeting notes. What I could do is, you could see here, boom, I just moved it. So it's very easy to just move. If you made a mistake, you move it. Another page that I would create is basically decision log. So I would create myself a page for decision log, where I would list all of the decisions we've taken during the project, so that a couple of months down the line, when people wonder why did we do this or that, or why did we not do this or not do that, we have a record of that. Another one I would create is project team. So I would have maybe an org chart of the team in there with all of their contact information, cell phone, whatever, if we need to get in contact quickly. And then I would normally have a page where I would put all of the risks. So and you usually, when you're doing your project charter or preparing all of the documentation to kind of sell your project to the executive or the sponsor, you'll come up with a list of risks. So I'll put that risks in there, not so much as a risk register, but I guess it could be used as a risk register. But it's all of my risk that potentially could happen on a weekly basis. I'll scan through it to see, are there any of those risks that I'm, not seeing or not considering, kind of as a reminder, and then I'll bring those into my executive summary if I have to highlight that, we have a risk. We should either think about a mitigation plan or activate the mitigation plan that we've planned for at the beginning of the project. So this is pretty much it, guys. This is what I wanted to show you on Confluence and how to help or create a project status report, and basically try and facilitate or get maybe more efficient in the way we do these things, because as project managers we tend to, we have to report on these things and keep people informed, and I mean, I know for me, I'd like to do this as efficiently as possible, meaning not having to copy things from one presentation to another presentation depending on the crowd. So maybe the people you're involved with have different requirements, so maybe you'll still have to do the PowerPoint presentation thing, but I thought that was actually a neat way of doing it. You can share this with people very easily with the share button. If you already have a Jira or Atlassian account, it's relatively straightforward. You have to you create them an Atlassian account. The other thing is everything also in here in terms of sharing and collaboration. I talked about editing the same page, but you can also if you highlight something, you could put a comment. I mean, here it's not really a good example, but I could put a comment and start typing my comment. If I wanted to tag someone on my comment, I could put Joanne here, and then she would get notified via email that I made a comment regarding this sentence. So all of the I'm gonna say modern collaboration features are in there as well, so you can tag people, comment, and you can also create an issue, meaning it would be a ticket or an item in Jira that would, based on this, right away you could say, out of this, there's an action we have to create. So you can go and create your Jira item right away. You're going to select your project, select the issue type, summary, description, and then boom, you have now an item in your Jira. So again, I think a very efficient way I found to manage or do the project status report, and I'm going to call it project status report plus because it does a little bit more of that, more than just status report in my mind. And again, the only limitation is your imagination. So you could create project charters in there, you could create project opportunity definition, project plan, you could do all sorts of stuff. So yes, there are some limitations, but I thought it was a cool way to do it, and I hope you guys found this useful. If you have questions, let me know, comments or email, and I'll be glad to answer your question. Or if you have tips for me, I'm by no means an expert. I'm still learning quite a bit of that stuff myself. So if you have comment, tricks, or things you'd like to share, we welcome that as well. So thank you very much, and we'll see you soon for another one of these capsule about something else.